Are you looking for ideas for turning your 12 by 12 paper into cards without making a pile of scraps? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I'm starting with 12 by 12 paper busting template for 5 by 7 cards, number 1. A version of this template is available for free and has been available for free at JessCrafts.com, but I recently revamped this particular one and created a set of 20 ideas for using 12 by 12 paper for 5 by 7 cards without making patterned paper scraps. And they range from 4 to 6 cards per 12 by 12 sheet of paper. They make, again, 5 by 7 cards, and those are available for download in the Etsy shop. I bundled them into groups of 10 or all 20 if you want to just have like the maximum amount of ideas. That's what I tend to do with my templates. I'll set them in groups of 10 as people need to like maybe add on from a previous bundle, but then also bundle the largest set that I have of each. This time I happen to be releasing all 20 at once, but I still made those two 10 pack bundles in case you're looking for something like a smaller commitment. So I'm going to get started with this, and it does work with directional patterned paper. My paper is directional on one side today, so I did in general also try to consider that with as many of the templates as possible to make them work with directional patterned paper, because that is common generally in patterned paper. Okay, so we're gonna make 4 cards. We're gonna cut 4 pieces that are 4 by 6, and then we're going to cut 4 pieces that are 4 by 3 inches. So when you're using tools like paper trimmers, please follow all manufacturer safety instructions. We're working with Echo Park Call of the Wild 12 by 12 pattern paper today. I'm gonna first cut off that branding strip. I don't consider this a scrap. You can use the little bit that has pattern on it for like the inside of the card or inside of your card or something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna use the campsite side that's for the 4 by 6 panels, and then the other side, so I'm cutting to 4 by 12 inches and then in half to 4 by 6 inches. And then the other thing that we have is these 4 by 3 inch panels, and that's where I'm going to pull in the other side of the pattern paper. If you do not have double-sided pattern paper, instead you have single-sided pattern paper, I often recommend just using 2 pieces, and then you can still mix the patterns, so you cut both of them the same way. Particularly when they're only making like 4 cards, then you only have a total of 8 cards. I know that making the same card many times is not for everyone, so there are different other ways to mix it up too, but this is my method, is to make the same card repeatedly. So I will make 4 of either the same or a very similar card. The pattern paper will be the same. Okay, so I'm going to take the other side, and that's going to go here in the middle. My sketch is very simple. In this case, especially considering what a high contrast it is between the two of these pattern papers, you could even skip the mat, but there are measurements for the mat right on the card sketch. Generally, I make my mats a 1/4 inch bigger, so I am going to make it the 4 by 1/4 will become the 4 by 6 will become 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I'm cutting this piece of 8.5 by 11 paper on the 11 inch side at 6 1/4. And then if I go and turn it and I cut it at 4 1/4, I will have 2 even size pieces. And I do often sort my pieces into like trays. You could use box lids. I've done like little plastic folders before, whatever works well for you. And then I'm going to cut a piece that is 3 1/4 by 8.5. I'm going to cut that in half again to the 4 1/4 size. I am left with this scrap. That's okay, I can totally use it on another card. My method is no patterned paper scraps, not no cardstock scraps. So you will have cardstock mats or cardstock scraps left over when you start with 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. And then I'll repeat that whole process again so that I have enough for 4 cards. When I go to finish off my cards, I want to use some images from the S'more the Merrier set from Fawn. I'm actually not going to use any of the s'more themed stuff. I'm going to use the little owl, the guitar, and the campfire, and I'm going to combine it with the sentiment from another set. But I did want to show you a quick something that might be a helpful tip is when I'm trying to stamp some images and I need to stamp multiples, because like here I'm making 4 cards, so I'm personally gonna choose to make them all the same. I will line up my stamps towards the top of the paper that is in my Misty. This is Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock, I believe. And then I'm gonna be able to like just kind of slide that paper up and re-stamp without moving them. It might not work for like the whole thing. I won't get to the bottom of the paper, but the other thing that you can do is once you've stamped in the same spot, and if you've slid it like far up enough that you run out of room, you can also try like turning the paper around to get that last set of stamps in, but kind of just considering like, you know, here I thought, is there any way I can arrange these images such that I can get all of them on this one piece? I do cut my Nina down to A2 size panels, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that it fits well in a storage solution that I have. But just trying to take advantage of that paper size to create as few of scraps of that paper as well. Let's look at how we would finish off this card. So it's a very simple layout overall. We're starting with that larger 4x6 piece, taking advantage of our directional patterned paper, placing that in the back, and that it works with directional patterned paper, leaving about an even border on all sides. And then this cardstock mat is what I use to cut my sentiment strips out of, because I thought, well, you know, I don't need to go make more scraps. It will obviously coordinate because I've already used it somewhere else on the card, so I like doing things like that. I did in the sketch show this panel centered, but if for whatever reason you wanted to place it more down towards the bottom, maybe to show off a larger portion of the background paper or something, you can go ahead and make changes as it suits you. Also, in the sketch version that is on my website right now, I did show it, changing it to putting it in this vertical position instead of the horizontal position, so there are variations that you can have on the sketch there. And then I cut out my critters with die cuts. I colored with the coordinating dies. I colored them with Copic markers. I'm not really sharing any of that because basically I don't do anything fancy with Copic markers. For my images, I did think about the fact that he's at a campfire, so the light would be coming from the campfire and like onto him, so that part should be kind of lit up more and there should be shadows in the back, and so that's kind of how I chose my shadows, but that's about as much as went into that. And I am going to place him such that place the owl such that they're playing guitar. I got a little fuzzies there, and I'm going to place the campfire so that it overlaps my sentiment, and put a little bit of like fake foam tape or something to pop it up in the back. You could use actual foam tape. I often will glue pieces of cardstock together to pop that up a bit, as foam tape instead. I want to put him a little bit in the background, keep a safe distance from the fire. We want to be responsible campfire users here. I mean, obviously this is all imaginary, but still. And that will create the scene for the card, and then I can repeat it across the 4 cards. I want to share one last little tip. When I put all of these on the same sheet, I stamped them all on the same sheet, I colored them all on the same sheet. But when it went time to die cut them, I did cut them apart. And that was just because sometimes mistakes happen. Things happen in the die cut machine, there's a little bit of ink on your plate or something, and I would rather not have the whole sheet going through and getting messed up in any way. So it reduces the chance that there's a problem. There's not to say that you can't do it or anything like that, but just something that I like to consider is that if I'm only die cutting these, any mistake happens to just these, and then I still have my other ones to have kind of a second chance. So I'm gonna, of course, finish cutting these out, add these over here to these final cards. And remember that you can find a version of this printable at jesscrafts.com, but I do have the 20 pack on Etsy if you're interested in seeing many different designs. And the ones on Etsy all have the color coding here. So like the 2 purple pieces go together, the blue pieces go together. That hasn't been on all of my templates in the past. But I did want to I think that might be a little bit less confusing of a way to interpret them. So I did change it and make sure that was included for these templates. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.